Persona 5 Tactica isn't an incredibly tactical game, and it feels like I'm playing checkers instead of chess, which is ironic since one of Joker's catchphrases is checkmate, which, side note, it's completely ridiculous he doesn't say that when you beat the final boss. I think the game is alright. I mean, all I needed was another journey with the Phantom Thieves and I would have been satiated, and happily given the game a passing grade, but the Thieves oddly take a back seat to new characters who aren't as compelling as the cast I spent 80 hours falling in love with. But when it comes to tactical gameplay, Persona 5 Tactica is strangely shallow, and I want to take a look at why that is and how it may be the Phantom Thieves themselves to blame. In tactical strategy games like Fire Emblem, each unit fulfills a different role, and it's up to you to coordinate each unit to get into the space they need to be in. Tanks on the front line, snipers on the high ground, and healers in the back. In Fire Emblem specifically, you can morph each unit into any role you can think of for them to create some genuinely unorthodox party formations and strategies. This gives the game its ludicrous feeling of depth, and makes the player feel truly in control of each battle. Persona 5 Tactica doesn't do anything similar. Each of the thieves have the same moveset with slightly different stats, like movement and damage output, but you can't really create a synergy around them and have your teammates make up for any weaknesses your individual units might have. All of the thieves consist of a melee attack and a ranged attack, while other tactical RPGs would split those skills between two units so that the player would need to strategize how to use those units in tandem to overcome a situation. By giving everyone such a wide spread of a bread and butter basic moveset, it means that no character has any unique traits, so every scenario ends up playing out the same way. It's pretty disappointing that I can't make the characters work together in a meaningful way, because one of the best parts of the original Persona 5 was how synergetic the party was, with you being able to baton pass around stat boosts to deal devastating damage. This also helped to make the thieves feel like a tight-knit group that worked off each other in battle, and made them seem like much closer allies and friends than other parties in JRPGs. In Persona 5, this was done through the use of exploiting elemental weaknesses. In Tactica, this is done by hitting an enemy that's not behind cover, which instead of feeling special in the original, because it was something only your party structure at the time could do, it feels basic because anyone can achieve this combo with any other party members in Tactica. It makes me wonder what was stopping Atlus from just giving enemies in Tactica elemental weaknesses. Like each enemy has 4 elements that make them vulnerable, and then the other 4 elements deal increased damage once they're open for attack. That's not to say there's no teamwork to be found in this game. I cannot get over how brilliantly Atlus translated all-out attacks to this game, using a triangle to get optimal position to deliver a massive all-out attack is when the game shines. It perfectly combines synergy and effectiveness to give you this massive boost of adrenaline from your perfect planning and sound strategizing. But that may only be because the rest of the game felt like it didn't give me that dopamine from big brain plays. Another example of where Tactica strangely chose to simplify its gameplay is in the cover system. It's generally understood that if you're in cover, you won't take damage as long as your opponent is on the other side of you. Not so in Tactica. Instead, no matter where your enemy is in relation to you, as long as your back is pressed up against a wall, you'll resist all their damage, which seems like a pretty big oversight to me. This is the game essentially telling me that positioning doesn't matter, and as long as I'm touching the wall, I won't take massive damage. One of the best parts of tactical RPGs is pincer attacks, and figuring out how to get into enemy backlines. In Tactica, that doesn't matter, because the cover is omnidirectional, so being, strategic with your units is a complete waste of time, and it's more effective to just charge into every encounter and stampede your foes to death. I think the reason that Tactica feels so bland and shallow is that it's not for fans of tactical RPGs. It's for fans of Persona 5 who just want to have one last hurrah with the Phantom Thieves before Persona 6 takes over the franchise. It also doesn't help that Atlus has to adapt all the units from the Phantom Thieves, which severely limits how creative they can be with designing interesting move pools for this game. Instead, Tactica creates a skill tree for all the Phantom Thieves, and where this could have been the perfect place for the player to roleplay and spec out each thief with different strengths and weaknesses, this skill tree is only interested in buffing the character's samey movesets. Persona 5 Tactica isn't the goodbye I wanted to give some of my favourite video game characters of all time, and I'm still secretly hoping that Persona 6 is just Persona 5 too, a la Final Fantasy XIII. But if this is all Atlus has left in the way of spin-offs for the Thieves, then I think I'd like them to go before their legacy is tainted for me.